Hello, welcome to Oxford Heirlooms. In this video, we're going to make the 4 tiny little French seams at the raglan sleeves of the dresses. Now, I've already done one, and as you can see, these are about 3/16 of an inch or maybe a scant 1/4 inch, but they're very tiny French seams, and I have pressed them each one toward the sleeves. Now, as you recall, I mentioned that before I pleat this, I marked the middle of the dress where the middle crease was. I've ironed that middle crease away. Well, I've kind of ironed that middle crease away. I'll iron it again in a little bit. Now, each sleeve, if you'll notice on the pattern piece, it has a front and it has a back. So before I sewed these on, I wrote a B on the back position of each sleeve. Okay, so let me set that one aside and we'll work on the second of the 2 bishop dresses. Now, what I have done preliminarily is I have pinned each one of my raglan sleeves. Now, a raglan sleeve simply means it extends from the neckline to underneath the armhole. Now, because I have been known to not get my seams all on the same side of the garment, I have gone ahead and pinned all 4 seams at the same time. Okay, now this is going to be a French seam. So what I'm going to do is the first pass of the French seam, I'm going to do at a 1/16 of an inch, or at least a scant 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so I've got my machine set for a straight stitch and I've got white thread in here. So just one at a time, I'm going to sew a tiny little seam. Let me see if I can get over here in front of the sewing machine. I'm not going to go forward and backward on this tiny little seam just because sometimes it wants to bunch up. So don't go real fast because you want these seams to stay pretty tiny. Like I said, 1/16 of an inch, or at least no bigger than a scant 1/8 of an inch. Now, when you get to the curve of the raglan sleeve, just kind of pull it and ease it along until you get to the underarm. Obviously, taking our pins out as we come to them. Okay, so that's one done. I got to clip threads with my specialty scissors. I left my embroidery scissors out in the other room. Okay, all right, so we've got one little seam done, and I'm going to, I'm going to wait until I get my embroidery scissors after I have done all 4 little seams. But as you can see, I got a couple of little fuzzies from where I cut the fabric, and I don't want those fuzzies poking out of my seam. Now, I don't need to cut notches, but after I sew all 4 of my raglan seams of the French seam, the first pass of the French seam, you can see because this is such a tiny seam, it does ease into a straight line real nicely. And it'll actually ease into a curve real nicely also. But I will go to the ironing board and I'll press my seams to one side, probably toward the sleeve. Then I will turn the fabric and press the seams into a raglan curve. But let me finish my other 4 tiny little raglan seams and I'll go to the ironing board. Okay, I have been to the ironing board and I have pressed each of the little seams flat. Okay, so now I'm ready to do my second pass of the French seam. Now, a little thing that I like to do, I seem to have better luck when I start sewing this second curve at the underarm and work my way around to the neck. And it could be that I turn the corner better coming this direction than I do going the other direction. So I will start each little seam down at the underarm, and I'm going to sew this at 3/16 of an inch, or at the very most a scant 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go backward and forward a couple of stitches just slowly to tack it into place, and then start coming around, not real fast, around this curve because I want to maintain a real small seam allowance at either 3/16 of an inch or a scant 1/4 inch. And then when I get up here where it straightens out, I can go a little faster. And then when I get up to the neckline, I will go forward and backward a couple of stitches just to tack it into place. There we go. Oh, I still have my embroidery scissors in the other room, so I guess I continue to trim threads with my specialty scissors. Okay, now what I will do is, since sometimes when I sew, it looks like it gets a little wrinkly, I will press that seam, and then once I have all 4 seams, the second pass of the French seam completed, I will go to the ironing board and I will press each of the seams toward the sleeve. But I'll be right back. Okay, I have got all 4 of the tiny little French seams made, and they are right at about 3/16 of an inch, or no more than a scant 1/4 inch in width. I've been to the ironing board and I pressed each of the seams towards the sleeve on both sides. So we are ready to begin pleating dresses and pleating bonnets, but I'll do that in the next video. But what we were doing in this video, let me see if I can bring my fabric down here a little bit. What we were doing in this video was we were creating the 4 French seams along the raglan sleeve of the bishop dress. But thank you.